in attendance tonight are Rutgers Scarlet Knight fans. As we mentioned at the outset, these two schools are only 13 miles apart. For the introduction of the starting lineups, here's public address announcer Kirk Unruh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jadwin Gymnasium for tonight's varsity intercollegiate basketball game between the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers University and the Tigers of Princeton University. Here are the starting lineups. First, for the visiting Scarlet Knights. At guard, a 6'3" junior from Los Angeles, California, number 3, Earl Duncan. At guard, a 6'2" senior from Elmwood Park, New Jersey, number 13, Rick Datica. At center, a 6'7" senior from Washington, D.C., number 24, Anthony Duckett. At forward, a 6'8" junior from Carteret, New Jersey, number 31, Keith Hughes. And at forward, a 6'5" junior from Trenton, New Jersey, number 35, Tom Savage. The head coach of Rutgers is Bob Wenzel. He's assisted by Ed Jordan, Jeff Mitchell, and Jerry D'Alessio. And now for the defending Ivy League champion, Princeton Tigers. At guard, a 6'3" junior from Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, number 5, Jerry Doyle. At guard, a 6'2" sophomore from our nation's capital, number 22, George Leftwich. At center, a 6'7" junior from Downers Grove, Illinois, wearing 00, Kit Miller. At forward, a 6'5" junior from Wilbraham, Massachusetts, number 35, Matt Henshin. And at forward, a 6'8" sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland, number 55, Matt Eastwick. The Capon Green head coach of basketball at Princeton is Pete Carrill. He's assisted by Bill Carmody, Jan Van Redikoff, and Louis Guadagnino.
We'll be back for the opening tip-off between Princeton and Rutgers right after this. The Scarlet Knights and Tigers set to do battle. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights have not won in this building since 1976. That was the year under Tom Young. They went to the Final Four. They're averaging almost 75 points per game, but Princeton is the stingiest defensive team in the country, giving up just more than 50 points per game, and Princeton has a decided edge over the history of this rivalry. Miller and Duckett jump center. Miller for Princeton controlled it. And now it's Matt Eastwick, number 55. Matt Henshin is 35. They are the forwards. Miller's the man in the middle. Doyle and Leftwich are the starting guards. That's Leftwich to Miller. Man-to-man defense to start out for the Scarlet Knights.
Princeton, they'll keep the floor well spread, and they'll look for that shot.
They like to take time off the 45-second clock. And that time the long three-point attempt was off the back iron. Earl Duncan and Rick Datica, the starting backcourt for the Scarlet Knights. Duncan is number 3, one of the 2 transfers from Syracuse. Keith Hughes is the other. Pass inside to Duckett. He had to kick it back outside, and he threw it away.
Well, got himself off balance as Princeton showed the 1-2-2 matchup zone. Duckett caught it off balance in traffic and committed the turnover.
No score. We've played almost a minute. And this time, Rutgers stays the man-to-man, but packs it inside the three-point line. Inside, the shot missed by Eastwick, and the rebound was cleared by Duckett.
One of the things you want to do with Princeton, you want to try to get the early lead.
Hughes, the offensive rebound, and he put it home off the Datica miss.
Because Princeton's so deliberate, defensive patience is going to be key for Rutgers tonight. Here's the full-court pressure.
If you're not patient defensively, as the folks who saw the Princeton-Georgetown tournament game last year remember, Princeton will run those backdoor layups all night long.
They'll take what you give them. And again, it's a frustrating way to play defense because they're so good at milking the clock and getting the high percentage shot that they want.
Henshin for 2, yes. And we're tied at 2. We've played nearly 2 minutes.
Princeton, surprisingly, they average 44 shots a game. 18 of those shots come from behind the arc. So almost half their field goal attempts on an average basis come from behind the arc.
Keith Hughes, the other of the two transfers from Syracuse. Savage and Datica.
Rutgers played Seton Hall on Wednesday, and when the Pirates went into a zone, Rutgers was a little hesitant to probe inside and look to take the ball inside and settle for a lot of quick perimeter shots.
A shot from Hughes off the rim, rebound battle. And it's kept alive by Savage. And a foul call. That's going against Kit Miller.
Pete Carrill was concerned about his team being able to match up and handle the Scarlet Knights on the backboard. That time, offensive rebound leads to a foul.
And Miller picked up the first foul of the basketball game. Talk about Rutgers' troubles getting it inside against Seton Hall. You would think with their size and quickness advantage against the Tigers, they'd be able to get it inside, and that's what they would try to do, but they've struggled to get it inside so far, and there's another example of that as Doyle has the steal.
Well, the matchup zone is tough. You have to create good passing angles, and your receivers have to come aggressively to the basketball.
Matt Henshin, junior from Wilbraham, Massachusetts, has played in all 200 minutes of Princeton's 5 games coming into tonight. The Tigers come in at 4-1 for the season. Their only loss at Dayton. Scarlet Knights of Rutgers 3-3. Doyle for 3. The rebound down to Henshin.
Excellent work to just dig it out of there. They'll spread you out. Excellent floor spacing here by the Tigers. You have to play good individual defense when you play a team like Princeton, who will spread it out and make cuts and look for open perimeter shots.
It's a Princeton kind of game at the moment, 2-2, and we've played 3 minutes and 35 seconds. And the foul on the drive to the basket. Henshin was fouled. Fouls on Tom Savage, his first, and the first called against the Scarlet Knights.
Floor spacing here. Rutgers in a man-to-man. Because the floor is so well spread, penetration is possible right there by Henshin.
They did not call that a shooting foul. The officials tonight, Ed Batikowski, Jerry Salvato, and Jim Potter. Henshin for 3 again. Rebound, batted around, Datica has it.
Rutgers would like to run when they get the opportunity, off turnovers or off clean rebounds. That time a little fumble in the backcourt allowed them to have to pull it back out.
And another turnover as Duncan tried to feed it inside. Eastwick picked it off.
You know, in a game when you're playing a team like Princeton, every possession is premium. You have to take good care of the basketball and make sure you get a good shot every time down the floor, because possession most likely will be few.
And Miller, first team All-Ivy center, laid it in to give Princeton a 4-2 lead. We've played almost 4.5 minutes. Just the pace the Princeton Tigers want this game to be played at. In their last game, they held Iona to 41 points. And another turnover. This time it was thrown away by Hughes as he tried to feed Savage down low. Timeout on the floor. It's Princeton 4 and Rutgers 2. The Tiger hockey team is playing host to Northeastern University, so the student body was divided. 4 turnovers for Rutgers, and Princeton hasn't turned it over at all. That's the story to this point.
Princeton only averages 11 turnovers a game while forcing 14. Rutgers really not being patient and trying to probe the ball inside. A few errant passes have led to those 4 turnovers.
Matt Eastwick. And now Henshin. We haven't seen Lappin, the super sub, the 6th man for Pete Carrill yet. He's the 2nd leading scorer for Princeton. Carrill does not use the bench much. The hook was short for Miller. Duncan brings the Rutgers Scarlet Knights into the front court.
Let's see if the Scarlet Knights can get a good shot attempt up in their half-court offense. The turnovers have prevented them from doing that.
This is only their 4th shot attempt, and Duncan hits for 2 to tie the game at 4.
Well, he had a pretty strong game the other night against Seton Hall, but got a little winded, and he's a physical player at 6'3", about 205, 210. When the game is physical and up and down, he can get a little winded out front.
Leftwich. His father, George Leftwich Sr., was an All-American at Villanova in the mid-60s. Eastwick for 3 in and out. And the rebound came down to Anthony Duckett.
Big time rebound that time by Duckett.
Another turnover. That time Savage tried to feed Hughes along the low post, and it was intercepted.
Well, you see the chemistry lacking, the smoothness in each other's game, knowing each other's moves, and there have been a couple of zig passes when the receiver is zagged.
Miller was in a little bit of trouble. Now Leftwich down to 17 seconds left on the shot clock. Miller, the center, shooting for three, no good. Miller came into the ball game with 4 3-pointers for the season in 8 attempts, so he's capable of hitting from that range. 4-4 the score, and another turnover. It's getting redundant. Duncan tried to feed it inside of Hughes, and Doyle stepped in front of him. Leftwich for 2. And Princeton is back on top, 6-4.
Leftwich, not a guy who does a lot of shooting. He only shoots the ball about 4 times a game. But when he shoots it, he makes it count. Leftwich shooting 57% from the floor.
Came in averaging 7 points per ball game. 12:50 to play first half. It's 6-4 Princeton. Shot blocked. Eastwick with the block, and he held on to it.
Savage took a little extra time to get loaded.
Leftwich drives down the middle, took the fade from Henshin and laid it home. And the Tigers have the biggest lead of the basketball game, 4 points, 8-4, with 12:25 to play in the first half.
The Tigers very active in this matchup zone, feet and hands moving. Rutgers going to have to do a better job of penetrating the seams, using some ball fakes to get in the shot.
Bucket's shot was blocked again by Eastwick, and a foul on the follow-up activity. Henshin called for the personal. Just the second called against the Tigers, and the first on Matt Henshin, junior from Wilbraham, Mass. A couple of subs into the ball game now. For Rutgers, Lee Perry comes in, along with Craig Carter. Perry will have to wait as it's a shooting foul, and the man he's coming in for will do the shooting.
There you see the block by Eastwick of a Savage shot, and I think, as I said earlier, I thought Savage maybe. And this is what happened after that block shot. Back cut by Leftwich. There you saw just a piece of it, but he ended up converting.
And Keith Hughes made the first free throw. He comes in as a 69% free throw shooter. Missed the second. Miller the rebound. 8-5 Princeton with 12:09 to play in the first half. Miller got fouled and got the bucket. He took the pass in between 2 Scarlet Knights and went through them to get the bucket, and he was fouled. I believe it's Craig Carter, just into the basketball game, who picked up the foul.
Well, Miller, although he's not the biggest guy around, he has shown the ability to operate inside. Again, great floor spacing. Duckett getting there late, and Miller just strong to the basket. Converts and is fouled.
Foul was on Carter. His first, second of the team. And Miller cannot convert the three-point play. He's a 70% free throw shooter. 10-5 Princeton. With 11:50 to play now in the first half. Sean McDonough along with Clark Kellogg. Delighted to have you with us from Jadwin Gymnasium in Princeton, New Jersey. Duncan has a man open. Lee Perry passed it up to Duncan for 3 off the back iron. And Eastwick, who's been a force in the early going, ripped down the rebound.
Tempo clearly the way Princeton likes to control the game, keeping it at their pace, and so far they've been effective, but they've been active defensively.
There's one of their patented backdoor cuts. Miller went backdoor, but the pass did not connect from Henshin, and it's a rare Princeton turnover. Bob Wenzel's club trails by 5 with 11:19 to play in the first half. Marketing in association with ESPN. Any use, rebroadcast, or other transmission of this game without the written consent of Creative Sports Marketing and ESPN is prohibited. Rutgers off to a poor start, shooting 2 for 7. They've attempted only 7 shots in 8 minutes and 41 seconds, and they've also committed 6 turnovers. If Pete Carrill could have devised the way this game would go, you're looking at the results.
This is the way he probably would have drawn it up.
I asked Pete Carrill yesterday if Princeton, over his 23 years, has always been a slow offensive team, hang on to the ball and play good defense. Here's Perry with the shot. Off the mark, Miller the rebound. He said, no, we haven't always played that way, but as the tuition at Princeton has gone up, the Tigers' pace and tempo has gone down. A little tougher to get the quick athletes who can leap when they're paying the bulk of their tuition and other expenses. It's almost $20,000 a year now to attend Princeton when you add it all up.
Well, it's tough to get olives from a fig tree. You've got to play the hand you're dealt.
And Pete Carrill obviously plays it very well, as the nation certainly saw with that memorable game against Georgetown in the tournament last year. Another turnover. Doyle picked off the pass that was coming in from the wing from Savage.
I tell you what, Rutgers really looking to try to throw the ball inside, but because they really don't have a dominant, proven low post player, they're struggling with trying to throw it inside because they've been basically a perimeter team here in the early season.
Miller kept the Doyle miss alive, and Doyle has it back. We're down to 10-10 to play in the first half. Turnovers definitely the story. 10-5 to score Princeton. Eastwick was short with the finger roll. Now the Scarlet Knights look to run. Craig Carter was fouled. The basket would not have counted. He was fouled by Leftwich on the drive.
There's an excellent outlet pass after the good rebound by Lee Perry. Carter excels in the open floor that time, able to draw the foul.
And here's the sixth man we highlighted at the beginning of the telecast. Matt Lappin is into the basketball game. He's the sixth man out of the Red Auerbach mold, as Pete Carrill said yesterday. He thinks that Lappin gives them a boost off the bench when he comes in, and he is their second leading scorer for the season.
11 points a game and 55% shooting, 50% from the three-point arc.
Duncan missed off the glass. Perry the strong rebound, missed the putback. Now Savage off the glass and good. And Rutgers is up to 7 points. It's now 10-7 Princeton with 9.5 minutes to play in the first half.
That's one way to counter poor shooting and poor execution in your half-court offense. Pound that offensive glass.
Miller working on Hughes, was short with a shot. Rebound out of bounds off Miller, and the ball goes to Rutgers. You made a good point today as we were talking about Princeton, looking at their stats and how many of their players play 40 minutes a game. They have 2 players who've played every minute of the season. Miller's played every minute except 2, but at this pace of play, they can stay in there for the whole basketball game. They can take breathers while they're out there in action.
Well, their style of play certainly not one to tax your cardiovascular system, simply because they aren't looking to push the ball. It's not a 94-foot game. It's more frustrating mentally because how much you have to concentrate at your defensive end in the half court, running over picks, making sure guys don't back cut, and knowing that Princeton is going to use 20, 25, 30 seconds of the shot clock most of the time.
Basket by Savage made it a 1-point game. 10-9 Princeton with 8.5 minutes to play in the first half. Matt Henshin. And now George Leftwich. Leftwich's dad, we mentioned, an All-American at Villanova. He's now the head basketball coach at the University of the District of Columbia. Henshin, strong drive, and he lays it in to put the lead back at 3 points for the Tigers of Princeton.
See what happens when they spread you out so well and you're leery of the back cut. It's tough for guys away from the ball to be conscious of helping. So they kind of lull you to sleep, and then somebody dribbles down the lane for penetration.
Atticus getting ready to come back into the game for Rutgers. The miss from Hughes. Princeton running for a rare time. Leftwich missed the layup. And off the rebound activity, Tom Savage comes back up the floor for Rutgers. Now Earl Duncan, he's a junior from Los Angeles. Hughes back to Carter. 12-9 Princeton. 7:25 to play in the first half. Duncan nearly got caught in midair. Hughes forces one up and got it from the foul line. Keith Hughes makes it a 1-point game.
Well, see, Rutgers would like to press after makes, but they've had so few makes, they haven't had an opportunity to press as much as they would like.
Talking with Rutgers coach Bob Wenzel today, asking him if he would press. He said, I consider Georgetown to be one of the best pressing teams, if not the best in the nation, and they weren't successful with it against Princeton, so there's no reason to think that we will be. Talking about Rutgers. Lappin missed his first shot attempt. Rebound, volleyball, Leftwich came down with it. Now Henshin. And Jerry Doyle, he's a junior from Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey.
Princeton will keep 3 or 4 guys on the perimeter and then flash somebody into the lane on occasion. After they spun you around a few times, the ball reverses from one side of the floor to the other. You get a little winded and you lose concentration momentarily, and then there's the back cutter, the dribble penetration.
Down to 8 seconds on the shot clock. The Tigers will have to start looking to the basket. Miller for 3. No good. Lappin tipped up the rebound, and he was pushed. The foul's going to be called against Lee Perry. That's his first foul in the 3rd against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. I would think they'd call that a shooting foul, as Lappin was trying to tip that ball in when he was pushed.
Well, no control. I think it's just a non-shooting foul. He really didn't have control of the basketball.
You're right, and the officials are too, as usual.
You got it. Official timeout.
And there's a timeout on the floor with 6:07 to play in the first half. It's Princeton 12 and Rutgers 11. 1-point lead over their rivals from New Brunswick, New Jersey, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. 7-1, although Rutgers has slowed down. They were piling up the turnovers at a very rapid rate at the start of the ball game. They've slowed down in that area, and they haven't scored a point off a turnover, while Princeton has half of its points off miscues by the Scarlet Knights.
Miscues work 2 ways. One, you don't get a shot at the basket, and you give the opposition an opportunity to add points to their total.
New man into the ball game is 21, Kyle Harrington for Princeton.
Rutgers goes to a zone now. Little matchup zone. 1-2-2.
Leftwich, and this is now Harrington. 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Ten seconds left, and Leftwich puts it up, no good. Rebound controlled by Lee Perry. He's the brother of Tim Perry, now at the Phoenix Suns. Craig Carter, he's in the backcourt now with Datica. It's Perry up front with Hughes and Savage for Rutgers. Savage had it in the corner. Datica, nice
Great
pass
look.
down low,
Great
and
look.
Hughes gives Rutgers the lead.
Rutgers field goal by
Rutgers that time displayed good patience, nice penetration and dish by Datica, and that's what I think they need to do more than anything. Just be a little more patient. They've been anxious to try to throw it inside after 1 or 2 passes. That time after some good ball movement, penetration, and a deuce.
Hughes leads all scorers with 7 points. Harrington for 2, and his first shot is off the mark, and the ball goes back to Rutgers. If you're the Scarlet Knights, Clark, is there anything you can do to speed up the tempo against Pete Carrill's club?
No, you really can't. They're so good at controlling the tempo that you almost just have to wait for your opportunity to put together a 4, 5, 6, 7-point run to where then they might panic. And you hope that they might panic and get out of what they like to do well, and then maybe you can capitalize on that. But in the early going, you just have to kind of fight it out until you get an opportunity to put together a couple of baskets and get the lead.
Scarlet Knights did press after the field goal by Hughes. He now has 9 of the 15 Rutgers points. And you saw that the Tigers broke that press rather easily.
I think that pressure after the basket is more or less token pressure. If a silly turnover comes out of it, fine. But the Scarlet Knights really not looking to take the ball from you, just wanting you to use a little clock in the backcourt.
Over the last 6 minutes, Rutgers on a 10-2 run to take a 3-point lead. Tension was bumped. Second foul on Tom Savage. And the 4th called against Rutgers. Neither team in danger of going over the limit at the moment. And there's a timeout on the floor with 3:52 to play in the first half. Bob Wenzel's Rutgers Scarlet Knights have taken a 3-point lead. Rutgers has taken a 3-point lead over Princeton with 3:52 to play in the first half. Rutgers starting to pick it up from the floor. They're up to 44% shooting. And coming up at halftime, Chris Fowler has the scores and highlights of the important 2 NFL games today. Big wins for the Giants and Broncos. And Chris will also take you through NCAA scores and highlights. The Division I AA football championship was decided earlier today on ESPN. Princeton's shooting, meanwhile, is tailed off. Part of that 6 of 22 is 0 for 8 on 3-point field goals.
Princeton, a respectable 3-point shooting team with 37% coming into the game.
The 44% for the game for Rutgers is above their season average. Bob Wenzel said shooting has been their biggest problem. The Scarlet Knights came into the game shooting just 43% from the floor for the season as a team.
When you lack a real dominant, proven inside scorer, you have to rely an awful lot on the perimeter shot, and that's what Rutgers has been doing.
Lappin hits the 3, first 3-pointer of the ball game for Princeton, and that ties it at 15 with 3:10 to play in the first half.
Lappin 12 of 24 coming into the game from behind the arc, so he's capable from there.
Perry didn't get the roll off the rebound. Leftwich, the point guard for Princeton, came away with it. Miller inside. Now Henshin. He's been driving all night, and that drive results in a layup that gives Princeton a 2-point lead.
Well, you really have to close out on Henshin on balance because he takes advantage of anything the defender gives him, and he's looking to drive and slash to the basket.
6 points for Matt Henshin, his season high 15 against Lehigh.
You get a good look at the zone defense, 1-2-2 matchup.
Bad pass inside from Datica. That was picked off. Here comes Leftwich. Miller, double team, played it off to Henshin.
Rutgers now back to man-to-man. They had shown a little zone.
Given the style of Princeton, I asked Pete Carrill yesterday if he was opposed to the shot clock. He wishes there was not a shot clock in college basketball. Miller scoring to make it a 4-point lead. He said no. He said we don't try to kill the clock and just hold on to the ball all night. We just take time to set up our offense because we're constantly looking for layups if we can get them. He said we could really run our offense in about 35 seconds. He prefers that it is 45. But he said it's really not a factor and not a hindrance to his Princeton team.
Just very deliberate in what they do.
Hughes with the miss. Perry had the offensive rebound, and Harrington knocked it away to Leftwich.
Boy, tough break for Perry as he was in excellent rebounding position on the weak side. Had it momentarily and lost it.
All 5 Tigers going to the defensive glass. They don't try to fast break, so those guards aren't cheating to escape down floor on offense. They're helping on the defensive glass, and that time it was the 2 guards who combined. Harrington knocked it away, and Leftwich picked it up.
When you're not very big, everybody has to get in there and grab some rebounds for you. Clearly, Princeton not a very big team at all.
But just to alert Chris Fowler, we're only 50 seconds away from halftime. Hard to believe. We played only about a half an hour in actual time, a very quick half, and Henshin scores to give Princeton its biggest lead, 21-15, and the Tigers have gone on a 9-0 run.
Well, this is where Princeton really becomes dangerous. Because of the way they play in their offensive execution, you have a tendency to try to cut into their leads too quickly when you're playing against them. It looks like the Scarlet Knights will look for the last shot here and try to go into the locker room down by 3 or 4.
Inside, Perry puts it home. With 10 seconds left, still time for Princeton if they hustle it up the floor. Henshin, baseline shot, too strong, an air ball cleared by Perry. Rutgers came into this basketball game averaging 75 points per game. They scored 17 in the first half, and Bob Wenzel's team leaves the floor, trailing Pete Carrill's Princeton Tigers 21-17. That's our score at the half. Now let's send you back to our studios. Henshin had 8, Miller 6, Leftwich 4, Lappin 3, and it's Rutgers basketball to start the second half. Duncan and Carter begin in the backcourt. This is Carter with the basketball. Now Savage. Savage is up front with Hughes and Perry. Carter for 2, yes. And Rutgers is within 2 at 21-19.
Boy, nice ball movement that time. Excellent shot. A 15-footer for a guy shooting 55% from the floor. And Rutgers has to get off to a quick start here in the second half.
Starting the second half for Princeton. Harrington and Leftwich in the backcourt. Miller in the middle. Henkin Lappin up front. This is Lappin. Back to Miller. They've already taken 25 seconds off the shot clock. 20 seconds left for Princeton to take a shot.
You know, we talked about Rutgers needing to be patient defensively, but I think it's going to be just as important for them to be patient with their offensive end.
Pete Carrill wanted a three-pointer. It's a two-pointer for Harrington, his first basket of the night. He had 1 foot on the line. He batted the pass down, but Carter got it back. Savage put his shoulder down and charged into Henshaw. And that's the third foul against Tom Savage. He's the only player in the game in foul trouble.
35, Tom Savage is third, the team's first.
That seemed to be a pretty clear-cut call. He just put his shoulder down and rammed right over Henshaw.
Lowered the shoulder, and that's always an offensive foul when the defender has good position. Rutgers starts out here in the man-to-man.
Lob inside to Miller. Wide open Harrington. Didn't get the bounce on the baseline jumper. And a foul on the rebound. Leftwich is going to be called for reaching in.
Boy, Duncan took his field trying to come up with that pass over the top of the and took his field. Here's the battle for the offense, for the defensive board. Hughes doing a nice job. He averages 11.5 boards per game. There you saw the foul by Leftwich.
His second. First on the Tigers in the second half. 18:21 to play. It's a 4-point Princeton lead at 23-19, and a steal by Lappin.
Really just a poor pass. Rutgers really trying to probe it inside, but they're telegraphing passes, and they're not being aggressive and assertive with their passes. A lot of lazy passes into the post area.
Both coaches played down the importance of this rivalry. Rutgers coach Bob Wenzel said Seton Hall is really their bigger intrastate rival. And Pete Carrill said Princeton and Rutgers was a bigger rivalry in football. They stopped playing each other in football. There's three for Lappin from well beyond the three-point line. And it's 26-19 Princeton, the Tigers' biggest lead of the basketball game.
Well, you know how coaches can undersell things, but clearly to the student body here, to the Ivy League, this will be a huge win for Princeton, and we can't let anybody tell us different.
It certainly is a more important game for Princeton. Rutgers.
Well, it's almost a no-win situation for Rutgers. They're almost expected to win it, and if they don't, then it's a major asterisk on their record.
When you look at the Rutgers schedule, rated by the Sporting News the 5th toughest schedule in the country.
That can work a couple of different ways. One, if you're impressive in playing a tough schedule, then obviously you're a stronger team, but it also can be hard on you if you lose some of those games.
Textbook Princeton offense, and Miller had the uncontested layup. It's 28-21. If you look at that schedule, you can understand why it might be tough for this Rutgers team to get fired up to play Princeton. They've already played Syracuse and Seton Hall. They have Notre Dame coming up. Missouri, a game you'll see on ESPN. St. John's, in addition to their Atlantic 10 schedule, which includes Temple twice. So they have some marquee names on their schedule, and it might be tough to get pumped up to play the Princeton Tigers. Duckett's back into the basketball game. Perry goes out. The foul was on Lappin, his first. And Craig Carter is at the foul line with 16:36 to play in the second half.
Well, that's an excellent point you make about them having their intensity level up for this game tonight. They had a tough loss against Seton Hall at home in a very exciting and electric atmosphere, and then to come into this place, which although it's smaller, clearly the fans are into it. But again, Princeton not the same caliber of team of a Seton Hall, and you have that tendency to let up mentally.
Plenty of arc on the free throws from Carter. He got both of them. It's now a 5-point game. And the press from Rutgers. Leftwich will bring it up. Well, certainly if you don't come into this place with intensity, it's tough to pick up the intensity during the game because Princeton lulls you to sleep. Foul away from the ball, and it was on Duckett as he bumped into Miller underneath.
Rutgers really has to work at maintaining their poise. It's only a 5-point deficit right now.
Mike Jones comes in for the first time, and Tom Savage with his 3 fouls goes out. Foul against Duckett was his first, and the second on the team in the second half. Miller, a wise play. He was double teamed and threw it out off Duncan.
Well, Bob Wenzel trying to go with a smaller, more active unit. Mike Jones, part of that solution.
Jones, a freshman from Morrisville, Pennsylvania. Hasn't played much this year. Lappin inside to Miller. Henson down low. That was deflected en route. And it will stay with Princeton. The officials conferred. The official underneath, Jerry Salvato, wasn't sure. He conferred with Jim Potter. And Bob Wenzel didn't like the conference and the result of it.
Well, from this angle, it looked like that ball may have touched Harrington.
Miller, one-on-one on Duckett, had it blocked from behind by Hughes. A rare fast break for the Scarlet Knights, and Duncan converts. It's now a 3-point game. Princeton leads 28-25.
Boy, excellent decision that time by Duncan. Under very good control, got it into the lane and just pulled up with a nice on-balance jumper. Now the Rutgers fans trying to get into it. They brought a nice contingent with them.
And there's a timeout on the court. Princeton 28, Rutgers 25. We'll return to Jadwin Gym in Princeton right after this. Jersey, the Tigers with a 3-point lead, but for a rare time tonight, Rutgers able to run.
Good defense often can lead to good offense. There you see the help side block by Hughes. Now the excellent decision by Earl Duncan in transition for the little pull-up J.
Just 4 points for Earl Duncan in the basketball game. But the Bucket took the lead down to 3 for Princeton.
It's kind of tough to maintain your average when you play against a team like Princeton. You come in averaging 14, 15, 16 points a game.
Henson with a reverse layup along the baseline makes it 30-25.
Boy, Henson really active in going to the basket, whether it be on back cuts or on dribble penetration. Rutgers going to have to do it defensively.
Because 5 minutes into the second half, they have just 25 points. Jones missed his first shot. Offensive rebound missed by Hughes. Carter, short off the glass. Duckett was fouled on the floor. The basket would not have counted. He was fouled as he came down with the rebound. Looks like Jerry Doyle is going to pick up the foul, and he does.
There you get a look at Coach Carrill.
I asked him about the Georgetown game and the loss, the tough loss that captured the nation's attention in the tournament last year. He said, I think I set a coaching record for being congratulated the most after a loss. Carter, too strong, and again it's Hughes for the offensive rebound. He was fouled on the shot. Keith Hughes has been the main man for Rutgers tonight. Leftwich committed the foul.
Here you get to look at both coaches. Keith Carrill, his worst fear coming true here the last 2 possessions. Rutgers exerting themselves on the offensive glass. The second time they get an opportunity for free throws, Keith Hughes doing a nice job inside.
Rick Datica back in. Hughes with 11 points and 5 rebounds.
Hughes sat out last year, but even in the year he was at Syracuse, did not play very much. So in essence, he's suffering from a 2-year layoff, and he's got a lot of talent. Can shoot it from outside, can play inside, but he's basically a perimeter guy that can occasionally go inside. He's not very big, but he's active, good leg, and really is going to be an excellent player as he irons out the kinks in his game.
Back down to a 3-point Princeton lead with 14:40 to play. Leftwich bumped by Datica. Nearly 10 in the backcourt. They just did cross the line with 1 second left.
I really think pressure now is important for Rutgers. They have to be active defensively. They just can't allow Princeton to really do what they want to do offensively. Now is the time to gamble, be aggressive, and try to force them out of what they're doing.
Lappin hits for 3. Back to a 6-point lead. The people watching at home might be saying, Rutgers has the faster athletes, the better athletes. Why don't they extend that man-to-man out and play right in their face and play aggressively? But if they do, then Princeton goes to that backdoor attack. You're almost doing what Princeton wants you to do.
As a defensive unit, you only can take away so much. And good offensive teams exploit what you give them, whether it's the perimeter shot, whether it's back cuts, and overplaying opens up back cut lanes. And Princeton does such a great job of keeping the floor spread. Here you get a look at it from the wide angle shot, and they just do a nice job of keeping things spread. And then after 20 seconds of moving your feet, being active with your hands, hey, you get a little tired playing defense.
That time you saw it duck it all the way out, well beyond the top of the key on Miller. 10 seconds left in the shot clock. Miller bringing the 3 Scarlet Knights, and now a foul the second time. The crowd wanted to call the first time Miller went up, and there was plenty of contact. Certainly a foul could have been called on somebody. There was a foul on the putback by Miller, and the foul charge to Keith Hughes, his first.
Well, here we look at it. All 5 Scarlet Knights around Miller. It's amazing he even gets that shot up. Good block. Then the push by Keith Hughes inside. I initially thought that could have been called against Miller, but Hughes was still moving.
Miller makes the first one. He came into the game needing 154 points to become the 18th Princeton player to reach 1,000 points for his career. And as a junior, he's on pace to go over 1,500 for his career, and only Bill Bradley in Princeton history has reached that mark. 5-point game. Princeton with the lead. Hughes. Yes.
Boy, nice little pass that time by Tom Savage as he flashed high.
Appeared to be out of bounds, chasing after Leftwich. The Princeton Tigers want a technical foul call. They felt like Datica knocked the ball out of the hands of Leftwich out of bounds. And now the officials are conferring on that subject. 17 points now for Keith Hughes. And it is going to be a technical. You cannot knock the ball out of the hands of the player who is standing out of bounds trying to inbound it, and apparently that's what Datica did.
A technical foul has been assessed against Rutgers for jumping over the end line before the ball was put into play. 2-shot technical.
2-shot technical. Henshin will shoot it. He came in as an 85% free throw shooter. And he also shot 85% from the line last year, so he's the right man. And of course, as we say that, he misses the first one.
Never fails.
Bob Wenzel is going to send Earl Duncan into the game. Henshin made 1 of 2. Princeton leads by 4 with 13:01 to play.
Number 3, Earl Duncan.
Duncan's coming in for Datica.
Well, I tell you what, Hughes doing a great job here in the second half. Well, he had 9 at the half, so he's just kind of picked it up from there, showing you his versatility at the offensive end.
Hughes has 17 of Rutgers' 31 points. The Princeton Tigers attack has been more balanced than that, and they have a 4-point lead with 13 minutes to play. It was 21-17 Princeton at the half. Miller is in danger of the 5 count. Lappin gave it off to Henshin. They had only taken 14 seconds off the clock, so that would have been too quick for Henshin to pump it up.
Little weave out front.
Jerry Doyle for 3.
You know, when they knock down the perimeter shot, it really makes it tough to defend them because then the backdoor lanes are more open.
Duncan forced it inside, and Hughes there again. 19 points now for Keith Hughes.
Well, I don't know how he slithered that one up on the glass. Clearly under the basket and still found a way to get it up and down.
Princeton by 5. 12:05 to play. Doyle and Leftwich now the backcourt for Princeton. Still Lappin, Miller, and Henshin up front. Eastwick was a force early, but we haven't seen him since. And Hughes blocked Miller's attempted hook, and it goes out of bounds to the Tigers of Princeton. We'll take a break with 11:52 to play. Princeton leads by 5. tournament champions. A little bit of the positive and the negative for Rutgers. 10 turnovers the negative, but Hughes has been the brightest spot for the Scarlet Knights with his 19 points. Princeton capitalizing for 8 points off turnovers, all of those in the first half, however. And Henshin has 11.
Talk about degree of difficulty. Here's Hughes having a tough time. Then look at this shot. I mean, he's clearly, his whole body is underneath the hoop, actually underneath the backboard, and he still was able to extend and get it up and down. Only 2 turnovers for Rutgers here in the second half.
Hughes knocked the inbound pass back out of bounds. Princeton will try again. That reminded me of you, Clark, from your playing days. That shot.
Well, I had I had the ability to be a little creative underneath the hole on occasion.
Yes, indeed you did. As I'm sure our fans well remember. Lappin to Leftwich. 5-point Princeton lead. Miller took it in the traffic and was fouled. Looked like when he first handled it, he had an open shot. Took it a little bit closer and drew the foul. Hughes picks up the foul. His second.
There you see the tail end as Hughes tried to go over the top for the steal, and then he comes back into the play. There's the lob over Hughes, and now he's recovering, leaves his feet, and that's a no-no. When that happens, usually you're going to pick up the foul defensively. Hughes, though, has been outstanding. 19 points, 19 of 33 Rutgers points for Hughes.
Miller's a good foul shooter. 70% for the season. And he just picked up his 10th point of the night, giving Princeton a 6-point lead. He had 21 points to lead the Tigers last year against Rutgers. That game was close all the way and won by Rutgers on their home floor.
Little high-low game here. Savage looking for Hughes. Oh, nice move.
Power drive by Tom Savage, and it's back to a 5-point lead. Henshin. Open is Miller.
Boy, Mike Jones really trying to put pressure on the Tigers guards in the backcourt.
More aggressive man-to-man defense now for Rutgers. Henshin had Jones right in his face. Down to 20 on the shot clock. And Leftwich decides that's plenty of time. Takes a stroll to midcourt. Backdoor. Henshin couldn't handle it, but they ruled that it went off Mike Jones. 12 seconds left on the shot clock.
Well, that's pretty good defense by Rutgers to make the recovery on the backdoor cut. Princeton will lift 3 or 4 guys above the free throw line and then send 1 guy on the backdoor cut, trying to alleviate that weak side help.
5 seconds left. Miller fouled again. This time Earl Duncan hit him.
See, right now, Keith Hughes is trying to go over the top on the lob to Kit Miller. I think, see, Hughes is going to try to go over the top. See that? I think Hughes can play behind Miller. Miller's going to try to roll that little hook into the lane, but play behind him and then get some help from over the top, because otherwise what's happened the last 2 possessions is going to continue to happen.
Another free throw for Kit Miller. He led the Ivy League last year, 11th in the nation in field goal shooting at 65%.
Impressive. He does a pretty good job for a guy not big and not real quick and doesn't have a tremendous bounce. He uses his body well, and then with the floor spread, he's a lot of times able to go one-on-one and get his shots off in the paint.
Miller's also been the leading scorer for Princeton in 4 of their first 5 games, and he's leading the attack again tonight. 7-point Princeton lead, 42-35. We approach the midway point of the second half. Carter was way off balance, and Henshin came down with the rebound.
Oh, it seems as though Carter may have got nudged a little bit. Off balance shot, but no call.
Miller. He's on fire now, and he was fouled by Hughes. Bob Wenzel didn't like that call. He's walking away from the action and now turns back to it. And Hughes, who wasn't in foul trouble at all at the half, has picked up 3 here in the second half. And Bobby Wenzel wants a timeout. 9:54 to play at Jadwin Gym in Princeton, New Jersey. The homestanding Tigers have a 7-point lead.
Kit Miller kind of on a little roll here the last 3 possessions for Princeton. Here he's got it in the post. Hughes plays behind him, which is nice, but here he leaves his feet on a nice ball fake that time by Miller, and then a foul called on Hughes, and Miller back at the line.
He's been setting up shop there lately. Princeton's field goal shooting has really improved in the second half, but Rutgers has picked it up as well, and these two teams have now scored as many points as they did in the entire first half in the first 10 minutes and 6 seconds of the second half. It was 21-17 at the break, and now with that free throw by Miller, it's 43-35 Princeton.
Well, the accuracy is picked up, as we just saw there. Both teams frigid in the first half.
1 out of 2 for Miller. 8-point lead for the Tigers of Princeton with 9:50 to play. This is the biggest lead of the game for Princeton. Earl Duncan in the lane, yes.
Shake and bake on him, Earl. Oh, nice little individual move that time by Duncan.
Doyle had 2 seconds to spare as he brought it across midcourt, guarded all the way by Carter. Princeton goes into the weave, and it's Doyle bringing it out to midcourt.
So they keep 4 guys on the perimeter, and then Miller will sneak inside and try to get it one-on-one, and uses savvy and ball fakes in there to try to draw fouls. And because Princeton has started to shoot the ball a little better, you can't afford to leave their spot-up shooters on the perimeter.
10 seconds on the shot clock. Miller shoots with 5 seconds and was short.
Excellent defense that time by Hughes.
8:50 to play. 6-point lead for Princeton. Earl Duncan. And now Carter. They are in the backcourt. Jones, Hughes, and Savage, the front line for the Scarlet Knights. Duncan stopped in traffic and was fouled.
Boy, Duncan showed you some of his strength there as he got into the lane. Really didn't have an opening, but strong enough with the basketball to hang on to it as he was fouled.
Matt Lappin picked up the foul, his second. Rick Datica is back into the ball game for Craig Carter. That was a break for Duncan as he stopped in traffic, had white shirts all around him, but was fouled. Duncan again. Now Jones from the foul line. Nice shot by Mike Jones.
I'll tell you what, he's been quietly effective. That's his first hoop. But he's been active defensively, putting pressure on the basketball, and he's been part of the turnaround for the Scarlet Knights.
And he'll be one of the few, if not the only, Rutgers player to improve his scoring average. He came in averaging 1.8 points per game. 8 minutes to play. Princeton leads by 4. That was the Tigers' lead at the half. The lob, this time Hughes, who was fronting him again, picked it off. Rutgers trying to pull within a bucket. Savage was fouled on the floor, no basket, but the foul is on Miller.
Boy, because Savage cleared out. There's a look at Pete Carrill. Here's the pass into the posting Savage. Now he's just going to clear out Miller, but the foul was whistled on.
On Miller, his second.
On the reach-in.
Denver with the big win today, and the New York Giants, the other winner in the NFL. Hughes. He just cannot miss tonight. Keith Hughes. 22 points now, and it's a 1-point lead, as that was a 3-point basket for Keith Hughes. 43-42, and Rutgers is on a 7-0 run. Minutes to play. 20 on the shot clock. Henshin hasn't shot in a while. He is fouled by Jones as he passed off. And both sides are now over the limit. Neither side reached the limit in fouls in the first half. They're both over the limit with 6:54 to play. Here in the second half, Princeton has seen its lead shrink to 1.
On the line for the Tigers.
Tigers' best free throw shooter, Matt Henshin. He was offered a Moorhead Scholarship, a very prestigious scholarship at the University of North Carolina, as was Matt Eathrick, and they both turned him down to come here to Princeton and pay for every penny of their education.
Says a lot about those two guys.
I had an interesting chat yesterday with Pete Carrill talking about coaching Ivy Leaguers. I said, well, it must be easy to coach these intelligent guys. He said, no, a lot of times it's much more difficult because being smart in the classroom has nothing to do with being smart on the court. And a lot of times these good students lack the natural basketball instinct. They don't play as much basketball as some of their opponents.
What I like to call a feel for the game, which can't be taught. It has to be learned and acquired. And the only way that happens is through playing constantly against all types of competition in different places. And excellent point by Coach Carrill that some of these kids that are really bright in the classroom and vice versa. You got a lot of guys that excel in basketball knowledge and have a tough time in the classroom.
Just saw Lappin, and Coach Carrill said he really is the closest player on his team to having that natural basketball instinct. Mike Jones has been a story for Rutgers off the bench.
Look at him hound the basketball. Look at him hound the basketball. Forced the turnover there. Credit that to Mike Jones. I didn't see who was on the other side denying the inbound pass, but Jones has been doing it since he stepped on the floor.
And it's the folks from New Brunswick, New Jersey making the noise at the moment. The 5-second call gives the ball back to Rutgers. They trail by 1 with 6:14 to play. They have not led in the second half. Rutgers has shut off the turnovers while Princeton has committed a couple. At one time that margin was 10-1. Now it's 10-3. And here's a near steal by Henshin and a foul called. Duncan committed the foul as he held Henshin, and Henshin will go to the line 1-1 after the second foul committed by Earl Duncan.
Well, I tell you what, Datica and Duncan both thought the other was going to come up with the loose ball right here in front of us, and neither one did, and that allowed Henshin to come up with it, and then Duncan fouled him.
And Datica goes to the bench, replaced by Craig Carter.
Here we get a look at what I'm talking about. See, Duncan and Datica both thought the other guy was going to do it, and nobody did, and Henshin able to squeeze in between them and draw the foul.
Matt Henshin at the line. He's not the only standout athlete in his family. His younger brother, Brian, age 11, is a two-time Massachusetts State Special Olympics swimming champion.
Well, I tell you what, talking about courage and heart, dedication, and inspiration. I've had an opportunity in Indiana to work with the Indiana Special Olympics, and those athletes can teach you an awful lot about determination and dedication.
3-point lead for Princeton. Jerry Doyle called for a foul for sticking his leg out. And that'll be a 1-1 for Mike Jones. Bobby Wenzel in his second year as head coach at his alma mater said the expectations are very high because of the Cinderella season they had last year. Expectations weren't high for Rutgers a year ago, and yet they upset Temple en route to the Atlantic 10 tournament title and battled Iowa tooth and nail till the end of the ball game in the first round of the NCAA tournament before losing to the Hawkeyes.
Again, that coach's seat is a hot one, especially when you add 2 transfers from Syracuse and you have the kind of season that the Scarlet Knights had a year ago. The media and fans sometimes get a little too euphoric about the team situation and expect too much too soon.
Bob Wenzel says they're going to play a tough schedule because they need to be on television to get the exposure to attract recruits, especially when he's recruiting primarily in the backyard of the Big East.
Well, I admire him for the schedule he's playing. I'm sure he'd like to see his team fare well with that type of schedule.
The hook by Miller, and Princeton has moved its lead back up to 5 at 49-44 with 5:12 to play.
Princeton keeping the Knights at bay.
Skip Miller now with 16 points. His given name, by the way, is Christopher Miller. Spelled like Mueller, but pronounced Miller. Duncan. Nice feed down low, and Savage was fouled by Miller as he went up for the shot.
Nice look that time by Duncan. Every possession now a key one for the Scarlet Knights. Princeton very much in control right now because they like this position. They've got a little cushion. and they've been able to execute fairly well in their half-court offense. They've picked up their shooting. Rutgers is just going to have to stay. Here we're going to look at Duncan. Nice little lob here to Savage from Duncan. And then Miller came over and committed the foul.
Savage connects on the first one. He came into the game as a 71% free throw shooter. Just 7 points for Savage, well below his season average of 15.5 points per ball game.
You know what I'm impressed with Savage in that he hasn't really tried to force it.
Henshin breaks the press. They had a 2-on-1 for the moment, but Lappin pulls it back out. They never yield to the temptation to force it at the basket, even if they seem to have a man advantage.
Well, with the lead and the basketball, playing pretty well in their half-court offense, Pete Carrill's unit very content to milk some clock and come up with a high percentage shot.
Time becoming a factor now. 4:23 to play. 3-point lead for Princeton, and they're down to 15 seconds left in the shot clock. Left wedge in traffic. Got fouled and got the bucket. Good big on the pass by Leftwich, then went up for the shot and was fouled. A 5-point lead for Princeton, and Leftwich has a chance to make it 6.
Well, again, look at the gamble here by Duncan. He leaves his man. That allows Leftwich to get to the lane. And Savage coming over to help really wasn't aggressive in helping, but that created by the gamble. And again, we talked about patience defensively. The Scarlet Knights have done a pretty good job, and Duncan decides to just randomly leave and double the ball, and that opened up the lane.
And the foul on Savage was his 4th. 6-point Princeton lead. Carter drives, blocks the call. The basket is good. And Miller can't believe it. That is his 4th foul. So the big men on both sides now picking up the fouls. Miller has 4 for Princeton. Savage with 4 for Rutgers. And the bucket by Carter makes it a 4-point game.
Coming right at you, folks. Craig Carter driving, slashing. Oh, Miller looked like he got there from that angle. Maybe moving just a bit. But again, the point of emphasis is that verticality, and if the defensive player has gotten there, and he's supposed to get a benefit of the doubt.
Jones bumped Henshin. Pete Carrill still yelling about what he thought was the offensive foul at the other end. Jones picks up his 2nd foul.
Well, I tell you
4:01
what,
to play.
Excuse me, John, but Mike Jones has really come in and done a nice job. He's been active and aggressive. There you see Coach Wenzel signaling for a timeout, and he's granted.
Princeton 52, Rutgers 49. We'll return for the final 4:01 right after this. They have social clubs, and these folks are members of the Colonial Club, which is an eating club, we're told. Sounds like fun.
Quite dressed up to be heading somewhere to eat.
They have a social function tonight, obviously a formal function, and they have slipped away to come to the game. We're told that they're heading back for their formal function after the game, and they'll go with smiles on their faces if the Tigers can protect this 3-point lead. Bob Wenzel spent a year as an assistant coach to Dave Wohl with the New Jersey Nets before becoming head coach at his alma mater. And before his year with the Nets, he was head coach at Jacksonville. Matt Henshin, 1-1, as he tries to build on the Tigers' 3-point lead with 4:01 to play. Sean McDonough along with Clark Kellogg. Game 1 of our doubleheader coming up at the conclusion of our game. Another backyard battle between Georgia Tech and Georgia from the Omni in Atlanta. Ron Franklin and Larry Conley standing by to bring you that one.
Henshin has been impressive from the stripe as well as from the floor. He's been active offensively, slashing and cutting to the basket, even putting it on the floor.
17 points for Henshin. Well above his average of 10 per game coming in. Rainbow goes again for Hughes. 24 now for Keith Hughes, and that's a career high.
Boy, Miller and Hughes really going at it, getting to know each other down there.
Miller looked like he was thinking about that hook that's gone for him a couple of times tonight, but the Tigers with the lead want to run that clock down. Still 25 seconds on the shot clock. 3:20 on the game clock. Tigers by 3. shot. Jones came down with it and knocked down was Carter, but there was no call.
No fracture, no foul.
Oh, throwaway by Carter. He was looking underneath for Savage, and I think he thought Savage was going to go up for an alley-oop type pass, and he didn't, and Carter just sailed it over his head.
Boy, crucial turnover after the good defensive stance. You want to come down. There's the turnovers. Are only 4 of those 12 turnovers for Rutgers here in the second half, but that last one, a big one as the clock winds down. Every possession is critical.
Third foul on Duncan, and no question about that one, as he was reaching in on Leftwich, who's back at the free throw line. One for one from the line tonight is Leftwich. Now 2 for 2. 8 points for Leftwich, the most he has scored since he had a career-high 12 points in the opening game of the season for the Tigers against Franklin and Marshall. He's approaching that career high, now with 9, and the lead is back to 5 for Princeton, and time running out on Rutgers. 2:47 to play.
Rutgers needs to get quick shots, but they need to be good quick shots.
Duncan for 3.
Can't get it much better than that. Quick and good.
2.5 minutes to play. A 2-point Princeton lead. Tension. Miller way up high, and he brings Hughes out there with him.
Princeton going to look to milk the clock much as they've been doing most of the night. Come up with a good shot.
Hughes called for a hit on Miller. 4 fouls now on Hughes. So 2 big men in foul trouble. 4 for Hughes and 4 for Savage for Rutgers. And Miller, a good foul shooter, goes to the line.
Here he is active. He's getting a little too aggressive with the hands. He's reached in 4 or 5 times already, and then finally, the official says, I've had enough, and he came right across the arms. But the Scarlet Knights really didn't need a foul there. They wanted to play good pressure defense, because there's still enough time on the clock where if you get a hold, you're only down 2 with an opportunity to tie or go ahead. Instead, they're down 3 right now, and making it even 4.
18 points for Miller, and a 4-point Tiger lead with 2:13 to play. Carter to Duncan. A hold called on Doyle. Doyle came rushing at him because he knows Duncan is a good 3-point shooter. And Duncan took it down and tried to drive around him, and Doyle had to grab him.
Earl Duncan on the line for Rutgers, shooting 1 and 1.
Duncan, an 89% free thrower.
Didn't get it. All kinds of contact. And the foul's going to be on Henshin, I believe, of Princeton, as he got tangled up with Carter.
Words being exchanged now between Carter.
Well, the Princeton folks thought that Carter was on Henshin's back.
Well, we got the call from the official.
Ed Badagowski right in front of us said that Henshin grabbed onto Carter's leg for the second personal
He
foul.
actually said tackle.
Yes, he did.
Big free throws here. Scarlet Knights get a break as Duncan had missed the front end of the 1-and-1.
Carter, an excellent free throw shooter with those high arcing shots, came in at 83%. From the line. And he's improved on that with 4 for 4 tonight. 2-point game with 2:04 to play. Princeton by 2.
Look at Mike Jones. Boy, he's done a nice job defensively. Rutgers now needs good defense, no foul, and possession.
Leftwich had trouble on the dribble, was double teamed and fouled by Duncan. 4 on Duncan. To go along with the 4 on Hughes and the 4 on Savage.
Boy, tough break here. They've got him doubles right on the sideline. It's almost like a 3-man trap now. And I've yet to see the foul on Duncan.
Might have been on Jones. Perhaps they tagged the wrong man. Jones seemed to be in closer contact with Leftwich than did Duncan. But the foul's on Duncan, and that's a big call because, as you mentioned, it's his 4th.
Well, in other words, it wasn't quite a phantom foul then? You think
Well, I don't know. We were both watching Duncan, and I wasn't really watching Jones to see if he fouled him or not, but I would agree with you. It didn't look like Duncan hit him at all.
the free throw
He disagrees, so there'll be a jump ball, and the Princeton bench is going bananas. Oh! Coach Pete Carrill was making a fist as if to say he wants to sock the official right in the mouth. He's had the glasses come off. On the alternating, looked like he was going to do a Bobby Knight imitation and fire the chair.
He's ready to shake out of that sweater.
A big call because on the alternating possession, the ball goes to Rutgers. And the steal. Lappin went diving in and deflected it to Doyle, and Princeton gets it back, and Pete Carrill's a bit calmer at the moment.
Boy, that was a great defensive play. Tough passing angle that time by Jones from the free throw line into the middle of the low post. It was a tough pass to make against his own defense.
A minute 28 to play. A two-point Princeton lead. Lappin the layup on the feed from Miller.
Well, that's what they're noted for. Lifting you up and then cutting behind you and executing the back door perfectly.
Timeout Rutgers. With a minute 16 to play, and the Scarlet Knights trail by 4. Bob Wenzel.
Four other players lift it, and that opens up the lane for...
It was Lappin with the layup.
Lappin with the layup. Again, they lifted up the defenders. Rutgers in a position where they have to overplay, have to be aggressive, and Princeton able to execute the back door perfectly.
In the first half, when the situation wasn't dire, they could sit back and play the softer man-to-man, but now with a minute 15 to go, they can't let Princeton take the 45 seconds off the clock, so they pressure, and the backdoor cut gives Princeton a 4-point lead. We're down to a minute 8 to play now.
Now they can't afford to use too much clock now, probably trying to spring Duncan for a tray.
Jones is pass deflected, and it's a turnover. Henson with it. Looked like Jones is trying to foul him, but the whistle never blew. We're down to 50 seconds to play.
They better get on the foul stick now. It's a 4-point game. Possession in the basket does no good if they allow Princeton to use a lot of this clock.
14 turnovers for Rutgers. Princeton has committed only 3, and there's the foul on the push by Jones, and he fouled the best free throw shooter for Princeton, Henson. 3 fouls now on Mike Jones.
Boy, as well as Jones has played, here we look at the free throw percentages. Both teams shooting it respectably. As you got a chance to take a look at Mike Jones as he gets ready to step off, Datica replaces him. Jones did such a nice job with his defensive pressure, but he also committed a couple of costly turnovers for his ball club. And he's a young player, and you just have to chalk those up to experience and put them in your file and learn from them as you go forward.
Henson is now 8 of 9 from the line. Datica's back in there for Jones, probably because he's an excellent three-point shooter, and Jones is not a three-point specialist.
Well, you talk about Jones learning from his mistakes. I'm sure that's the last thing any Rutgers fan or player would want to hear right now.
5-point game. Datica calling out a play. They don't have much time to set up. They have to attack. Trailing by 5 with 26 seconds left now. Duncan got fouled as he took the 3. And Henson looked at the official, Jim Potter, and said, "Ooh, I can't believe you called that foul," but he did, and it's a big one as Duncan goes to the line for 2, and Henson has his 3rd personal.
Here we take a look at it. Duncan working himself free. Ooh, must have been a touch, must have been the fingernail.
Looked like he might have hit him on the left arm, the non-shooting arm for Earl Duncan. Clark mentioned a moment ago, Duncan is an excellent free throw shooter. That time he didn't make a liar out of us.
Rutgers now, if they can get this second shot to go in, they'll pressure immediately and they would have to foul almost immediately if they don't come up with a steal on the inbound.
Duncan the miss, Lappin the rebound. Datica knocked him down 1-and-1 immediately, says the official. Jerry Salvato right on top of the play.
Rutgers personal foul.
Here's a rebound on the miss. Datica got everything, got his money's worth on that one.
But if you make the attempt to play the ball, and Datica did appear to be reaching in to swipe the ball away, they really are not supposed to call it an intentional foul, even though it's pretty clear he was trying to commit a foul. Perry into the game. Carter is out. With 22 seconds left, big free throws for Matt Lappin with his team leading by 4.
Rutgers never really able to get control of this one. They made some runs, but never really able to get enough of a cushion to keep Princeton from playing their type of game.
Now they really have to shoot a three-pointer. Savage throws up the 3. Got it! And Rutgers calls a timeout with 14 seconds left. The three-pointer by Savage. And for a big fella, he can shoot the three-pointers. He had made 12 out of 33 attempts coming into tonight's game. So Rutgers plots the strategy trailing by 3 with 14 seconds left.
Well, it's kind of a no-brainer. You got to deny the inbounds pass, try to come up with the steal. Here's a tough three-pointer by Savage just a moment ago to put Rutgers in this position. They trail by 3, so you deny the inbounds pass, try to get a 5-second counter or turnover. If not, you immediately have to make an effort to play the ball and commit a foul to stop the clock. And there's a three-point shooting percentage. Rutgers took 30 three-pointers the other night, and they've only cranked up 5 tonight. But I think in their effort to get the ball inside early, they really forced the issue and didn't execute well in their half-court offense. When maybe they should have probed inside and tried to shoot some perimeter shots early. Tonight they've really cut back on the three-point attempt.
And you saw that they are out of timeouts. So that could be a problem if they score a basket. With less than 5 seconds to play, they cannot stop it, and Princeton could just stay out of bounds. Coming up in just a matter of moments, from the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia Tech against Georgia. Georgia Tech has found one of the most exciting players in the country, the point guard Kenny Anderson.
They've also got Dennis Scott, a slimmer, leaner version of Dennis Scott, and he's been outstanding.
What a game he had against Pitt here on ESPN in the ACC Big East Challenge. 8 seconds left. Carter was going after the ball, but again they got the ball to Henshin, the best free throw shooter. You have to think if Henshin makes one of these, the ball game's over, because Rutgers would have to come down and score in less than 3 seconds. They can't stop the clock with a timeout. If they don't score in 3 seconds, they can't stop it, and Princeton could just hold the ball out of bounds.
Well, really, I think Rutgers was looking to foul a little sooner than they actually did. I think Hughes had an opportunity to commit a foul in the backcourt and let some valuable time get away by not doing so.
Pete Carrill has used one of his remaining timeouts. He still has 3 left. Foul, by the way, on Carter was his second. 8 seconds to play. Princeton with a 63-60 lead. They have to hope for a miss and come down and make the three-point shot. It's that simple. Coming up Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the Seattle Seahawks play host to Bo Jackson of the Los Angeles Raiders. The Raiders eyeing the playoffs, but the Seahawks over the last couple of weeks have played the role of spoiler for a couple of other teams, Cincinnati and Buffalo, trying to get into the postseason play. So that should be an exciting one from the always noisy Kingdom. Now for Pete Carrill, what do you say, Matt? Make those free throws and let's go home and celebrate.
Most coaches usually don't even talk about free throws in a situation like that. You know what's happening if you're the shooter. Your team knows, so no need to reiterate it in the huddle. I think he's talking about what they do after he makes the free throws.
Pete Carrill in his 23rd year at Princeton. They've had other big wins over the years. They've defeated schools like North Carolina and Ohio State. I hate to admit it. But Henshin on the line. Perhaps a chance to put it away as the Tigers lead by 3 with 8 seconds left. Rutgers is out of timeout. That should do it. Because even if Rutgers hits the 3, they can't stop the clock, and they'd have to hit that 3 within 3 seconds. Five-point Princeton lead. Danica with the miss, rebound batted around. That's it. Princeton wins. The Battle of New Jersey goes to Princeton. 65-60 the final. For Clark Kellogg, Sean McDonough saying so long. Once again, here's Chris Fowler.
Okay, thank you, Sean. As they pour on the floor now at Princeton, good win for Pete Carrill's team. And in the last week now, we've seen Rutgers lose to their two rivals in New Jersey, Seton Hall and now Princeton. Let's take a look at the top 25 college basketball scores because we are just minutes away from Georgia Tech and Georgia from the Omni. Number 1, Syracuse, all over Towson State. In the second half now, it is 77-44 in that one. Number 2, Kansas at home against Pepperdine, and the Jayhawks win it easily, pulling away in the second half, 98-73. Georgetown and the University of District of Columbia. They have the same city in common. Their basketball teams don't have a whole lot in common. UDC, a Division II team, good in Division II, but they're playing in Division I. Dikembe Mutombo of Zaire. That's Amadou Fall from Senegal. United Nations battle, Zaire over Senegal as Mutombo gets the dunk and the foul one more time. Now, Mutombo ahead of the pass. Fall will make the block, but Dikembe gets it back, takes